Hello, Bobcat basketball fans, and welcome to the Bobcat Sports Showcase, first post-game show of the season. I'm Brad Appleton alongside Pat Chiesa. Pat, we saw a very exciting win for the Ohio men's basketball team, 78-75 in overtime against Kent State, moving them to 10-1 in the MAC. And this one wasn't over without a little excitement first.
That's right, Brad. We couldn't have picked a better time to start these post-game shows. Two words, Stevie and Wonder. How about Stevie Taylor coming in off the bench after DJ Cooper fouls out of the game? One shot, one kill, puts Ohio up by one. Nick Kellogg scores a layup, adds some insurance to that, and the Bobcats get a three-point win. They're now 10-1 in the Mid-American Conference, and you could have not have asked for a better and more exciting ending to this game.
Right, and speaking of Stevie Taylor, he is alongside Coach Jim Christian, Walter Offutt, and TJ Hall in the press conference.
And there's a lot of things that, we had a 15-point lead with about 10 to go, and we just stopped guarding them. I give Kent, I don't blame us for that. I give Kent credit because Kent has a lot of pride. I know that. I know how hard they work, and they were much more the physical team the last 10 minutes of the game. They got every loose ball, scored on top of the basket, and they went 6 for 9 from 3 in the second half. So I give them the credit for it, but it's a lesson we need to learn.
Stuff from Coach Christian and the players there. Pat, the Bobcats got off to a pretty impressive start, mainly Reggie Keeley. He was just 2 points away from 1,000, did it in a big way on the first possession. Big dunk under the hoop, goes back to the other end and a block. OU's off to a 7-1 run, but then Kent State responded on their own little run, 15-3, and things were looking a little scary for OU.
That's right, Brad. Ohio could not have gotten off to a better start with that 7-1 run. They started off 5-0, and you mentioned Reggie Keeley's 1,000th point for his career. By the way, coming off an offensive rebound, TJ Hall with the offensive rebound to Keeley for the dunk. But after that, things got a little sluggish. Kent State started to pick up the pace, got back into the game, but all in all, I mean, there wasn't a lot of scoring in the first half until we put the ball in the hands of DJ Cooper. Ohio, that is, put the ball in the hands of DJ Cooper, and we started seeing some shots falling at the end there.
Right, there was a point where Ohio went nearly 8 minutes without a field goal. They were just hitting them from the line. Cooper changed out with a layup, then a couple possessions later gets a steal, comes up, pull up three, hold your breath, but of course, DJ delivers.
Of course, I remember when he took that shot, that's exactly what I did. It was a dirty step-back three-pointer. That's DJ Cooper for you. And then, of course, at the end of the first half, again in DJ Cooper fashion, and let's keep in mind here, he was not 100% in this game. We saw in the second half him hunched over a trash can, a little nauseated, if you will. He was not 100%, but back to the shot at the end of the first half, pulled up from, I'd say 28 feet or so, off the rim, off the backboard, money. Ohio had plenty of momentum heading into halftime.
Oh, definitely. And they came into the second half on another big run. This was a game of runs. They went 15-5, and once again, Kent State responds.
That's right. Kent State, by the way, had a 13-3 run in the first half, but then you mentioned Ohio came out guns blazing in the second half and put together that huge 15-5 run, but Kent State responded, and I think the big reason for that was Chris Evans, the 6'7" senior forward. He put up 20 points against the Bobcats the first time these two teams met up in Kent, Ohio at the lovely Mack Center, but a slow first half for Evans, just 7 points, but he turned it on in the second half. Ohio was having some real trouble with him down low. He had a double-double, I'd say about halfway through the second half, the last 20 minutes of play. He was dominating on both the offensive and defensive glass and pretty much scoring at will. This is a guy that can not only beat you down low, but he can pull up and knock down three-pointers, and we saw him do that as well. So Ohio certainly struggled with Evans, but when it came down to it, the Bobcats were able to match Kent State stride for stride heading down the stretch in the second half.
Right, and it seemed that second part of the second half there, Ohio started to play a little smarter basketball. DJ Cooper had 4 turnovers to start the game, didn't have another one, had 8 assists, and even climbed that NCAA leaderboard even more for all-time assist leader.
That's right, he was tied for 19th heading into this game. Now I believe he's 15th. Cooper was, like you said, 4 turnovers to start the game. That was all, I think, in the first 5 or 10 minutes of play. After that, got his head, got his feet underneath him, and really started to manage this game like the great point guard he is.
Right, he did. And at the end of regulation, it was tied at 69. Few free throws there at the end kind of put things back and forth. And then, like we said at the beginning, Stevie Taylor came up with that huge three to put the Cats up 1. The layup put them up 2. Here's Carter Rodriguez with Stevie Taylor talking about the shot.
Thanks, Brad. I'm here with Stevie Taylor. Stevie, of course, I got to ask you about the shot. What was going through your mind? What was the play? Just talk to me about it.
Before we had to call the timeout, coaches drew up a regular play just like any other time, and the play was originally for Walt, but Evo kind of threw a bad pass, and Walt made a great catch, and the guy had fell on the floor. And before we came out, Walt told me to circle up. So he drove it, and I circled up, and I hit the shot.
Now, you scored 3 points on the game, 3 big points. How do you come in? Coop played a ton of minutes this game. How do you come in and stay warm despite the fact that you spent a lot of time on the bench?
I think that's just me. That's my role in the team, and I'm an energy kind of guy, so I'm kind of just have energy as soon as I come in. So it really wasn't big for me to just sit out the whole game like that and then come and hit the shot. I felt good, though.
Obviously, 2 close wins over Kent State. How big is that for you guys when you're still chasing Akron?
Oh, that's really big. I think we haven't swept them since 2001, and Coach was telling us that, and that's something that we really wanted to do, and we did that.
All right, Brad, that's all I have with Stevie Taylor. Stevie, thank you.
Welcome.
All right, once again, great shot by Stevie. Certainly had the convo rocking. Pat, let's talk a little bit more about the other performances by some Bobcats today.
That's right. This was undoubtedly the biggest shot of Stevie's career. Let's not sell him short. But there were some other players for Ohio that stepped up in a big way. And I'm going to start with Walter Offutt. First of all, led the team with 17 points. 9 of those points came from the free throw line. Walt, I believe, had 8 free throws in the first half alone. He was getting to the line, driving to the hoop, drawing contact. That's what Walter Offutt does best on the offensive end. Defensively, he was also huge late in this game. Took a charge. Actually, he made a layup late in this ball game to tie things up, and then took a charge on the other end. Walter Offutt does the little things that make this team go. He's the cog in the wheel of Ohio, if you will, especially when you look at DJ Cooper, 4 of 11 from the field, 3 of 9 from three-point land. Not one of his best games. Walter Offutt stepped up and did so in a huge way. Of course, Ohio was dominated on the boards, 43 to 30. Kent State took that battle, but the Bobcats were able to be resilient and drawing charges like that, forcing turnovers. I believe 22. Ohio forced 22 Kent State turnovers. Kent forced just 10 Bobcat turnovers. So when you look at that in the grand scheme of things, getting those extra possessions, that was what won Ohio this game, plain and simple. That was what, and we failed to mention this before. Kent State had a last shot here. They were setting up a last shot scenario, and Mark Henninger, Kent State's 6'9" forward, threw the ball away. And ultimately, who knows what would have happened, had Chris Evans taken that last shot, because he was on fire. But that mistake gave Ohio the opportunity to take this game into overtime and gave Stevie Taylor the opportunity to be the hero.
Right, and Ohio has a bit of a busy period coming up. They will host Eastern Michigan on Wednesday, that game that was postponed from earlier on the season. Then they travel to Belmont, and then they look for revenge against Akron on the 27th at home. That'll be a huge game.
They have the February 27th circled on their calendar. Let's make no mistake there. But 2 important games in front of Akron as well. Of course, starting with Eastern Michigan, this is a MAC game. This is a big conference game. Of course, Ohio pulled even more into that second spot in the MAC East. It's pretty much a 2-horse race right now in the MAC in general. You look over at the West, Akron and Toledo tied 7-4 for that first spot in the MAC West. Now let's remember that only 2 teams get double byes. So right now Ohio has at least 3 games in hand on the next best team in the Mid-American Conference. So it looks like Ohio and Akron are going to get those 2 double byes. But if the Bobcats want that MAC regular season title, and I'm sure they will, especially against a rival like Akron. They're going to want to take care of it. They need to take care of business on the 27th. But before that, two good tune-up games, if you will. This Eastern Michigan team, don't sleep on them. They beat Ohio last year at their place. That could be a trap game. And then you look at Belmont, one of the best mid-majors in the country right now. This is a prolific shooting team. That is going to be a great tune-up to go into Nashville, into Belmont's gymnasium, and try to steal one from Belmont. That will be a game that Jim Christian and his team are going to use as kind of a tournament scenario. That's going to be one of the toughest opponents Ohio's played so far this season.
Right, big-time confidence booster if they can pull that out, and then use it against Akron. All right, that wraps it up for us here at the Convo. Don't forget, for all the latest and happenings across Ohio athletics, to follow us on Twitter at Bobcat Showcase. Check us out on the web at woub.org/showcase. For Pat Chiesa, I'm Brad Appleton, saying thanks for watching.